This video today is going to be kind of an overview of the CAISS exam. We're going to go through like where to find the information to apply for the exam, and then kind of my take on how to maybe set up a study session for the exam, or just some things that I did while studying for the exam. All right, so first, in order to find the exam, you're going to go to the AAAM website. And from here, we will go into the abbreviated injury scale, so AIS. And then we will go to get certified. And this page just has information regarding like who should get certified, why you should get certified, and then how to start the process. And under this how to start the process, you'll click on this link here and it'll take you to the PTC website in order to review the handbook for the exam. All right, so under the PTC website here, there's just some information pertaining to the test. So AAAM is still, the exam is still on the AIS 05/08. They won't start testing for the 2015 AIS dictionary until March of 2026. So we still have a little over a year left. All right, so if you plan on taking it in March of 2026, please be sure that you are studying for the 15. Or if you plan on taking it before, please be sure that you're studying for the 05/08 version. So down here, if you scroll a little bit further, you'll have the handbook, then the apply online, and then a practice test. The practice test, I know it does cost to take the practice test. It's a 2-hour test, and I forget how many questions is on it, but that information is in the handbook. All right, so we'll go to the handbook here. And the handbook kind of gives information pertaining to the application deadlines, when the testing begins and ends. So there is always like, I believe, a 2 to 3 week testing window. So you would be able to take it between those dates. So if you apply before May 14th of 25, your testing window will be June 16th through June 28th. And then the rest of the handbook goes through kind of what to expect while taking the test, where you can take the test at, the testing centers, and then if you can take it out at home, what's expected in order to be able to take the exam at home. So my the part that I really paid attention to when looking over this handbook was this bottom part. It starts on like page 18. Okay. So the exam content. So the content areas that are covered: anatomy, medical terminology related to injuries, diagnoses, coding fundamentals, and then identification of coding of injury descriptions. I found that the exam, granted I've taken this like 3 or 4 years ago, was anatomy heavy for me, so I really focused I focused on studying anatomy because that was somewhere where I didn't feel comfortable with. So even though identification and coding of injury descriptions is 45%, most of my focus was anatomy because I wanted to make sure that I knew where to code these injuries to in order to code them. So I did take the practice test in order to help identify areas that I maybe needed to study more on. So I do highly encourage paying for the practice test and taking the practice test in order to identify those areas you may need to study more on. And then down here on page 20 is the content outline. So as you can see here, anatomy, and then all of the areas of anatomy. And then medical terminology is related to injury diagnosis. So I made sure that I knew these words and their meaning. And then the types of head injuries, or injuries, I'm sorry. I read head and head injuries at the same time. And then coding fundamentals. So this is kind of an outline of what the exam will include. And I kind of broke it up into sections. So everything that pertained to the head. So anatomy, injuries, conditions, coding rules. I studied that all at once. So anything that related to the face, I studied it at once. And what I did was I opened up my course book, my AIS dictionary, and I also opened up the AAAM AIS clarification document, and I studied each section individually in order to learn that section as a whole, rather than learning all of the injury types or all of the anatomy. I broke it down and grouped the sections together. And then on page 22 here, there's a sample of questions. So it kind of tells you how the questions will be laid out. For instance, this question, the answers are multiple choice, and here is the AIS code, and then the descriptor of the code. So you don't have to memorize the codes. You just have to know how to identify, and the coding rules and guidelines really come into play here. So I would highly suggest studying the coding rules and guidelines, all the black boxes, very in depth, to make sure that you know and understand the rules of coding for the AIS. All right. I'm going to show you how to get to the clarification document too. So back to the AAAM website under AIS, there is a link here on the left side where it says AIS resources and FAQ. If you click on that, you have 4 hyperlinks here, and the first hyperlink is the AIS clarification document. And then I just click on it, open it. This was last updated in 2019. It was first put out in 2012. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the year 2012, 2013, 2016, and 2019. Even though the year has changed, all of this information here is still relevant. So just because it says 2012 and it says something pertaining to a head skull fracture, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's not valid. So it's still valid. All right. So again, I highly suggest opening up the course book, the AIS dictionary, and this clarification document to make sure you have the most updated clarification in order to study each section. Okay. So that was it on how to get to like the AIS exam information. So like I said, for me, anatomy was kind of my weakness. So I went online and I Googled some resources for anatomy, and I found some really good ones that I really like. So I'll show you those here. The first one is Teach Me Anatomy, and the reason why I like this website, is because it has the basics. So if you're not familiar with anatomical positions, body planes, terms of movement, this is a really good resource just to kind of go out and, familiarize yourself with those terms that maybe we have forgot over the years. When we took our anatomy class, we took our medical terminology class, and we don't always use that information all the time. Is this the one I want? Yeah. So I know in radiology reports, they will reference a plane. So just those this information regarding those medical terms that maybe we don't see every day, just to reintroduce them to ourselves, I guess. I don't know how to say that. Okay. Anyhow, it has each section, so head, neck, thorax, back, and each one has bones, muscles, nerves, joints, organs. So if you click on any of these, it'll give you some information pertaining to, for instance, this one's the nerves of the head. It'll give you some information pertaining to the nerves, and then give you visuals of the nerves so you can see the location. Like, I'm a visual learner, I need to see it in order to understand it or for me to remember it. So then it gives a nice picture of it, of the area. Again, blood vessels, muscles, bones of the neck. So I really like this website. This is also an app. I'm not sure if it's on Android, but I know it's on iPhone. You can pay for like an updated version of it. Like, this is the free version, so you have access to all of this information, but if you want a more in-depth information, then you can pay for a free version, another version. And depending on how often you use it, I guess you can just choose what you want to pay for. All right, and then the next website is the surgery reference website. So I like this because this gives you more information about the bones. So there, if you click on skeleton up here, it gives you a skeleton. You have an adult, and then you had a pediatric, and then a periprosthetic, which is nice to see. So I normally work in the adult section or sector. So I typically use adult. Anyhow, there are 6 little like plus links here. So if you click on one of these, it'll give you more in-depth body area that you can look at. So let's just pick one. So I picked the humerus, and then it kind of gives me images of different fractures, information about different fractures. I believe if you, let's see. Yeah. So the acetabulum kind of gives you a breakdown of the locations, the areas of the acetabulum, more of the anatomy type stuff. All right. So those are the 2 websites that I use often, even on a regular basis when I'm working. I also like to watch YouTube videos, so I found a few websites or YouTube pages that I like. The first one is Institute of Anatomy, and I like this guy because they're all cadavers. So he will show you different anatomy, like real life human anatomy from a cadaver. So he's also on TikTok, and he also has YouTube Shorts. So if you're not like a long video person, you can flip through the shorts and learn a little bit of information there pertaining to anatomy. I really like this radiologist YouTube page, and this page is also on other platforms, social media platforms. But I like this because it kind of gives you the imaging view. And I'm not sure about you guys, but we look at imaging, and it's nice to kind of be able to identify the parts of the body on a radiologic image as well. So I like this because they post a lot of these types of visuals, and it kind of makes things set well with me just seeing it in this view. All right, and then I also like Metro Atlanta Trauma Advisory Committee, which I follow them on LinkedIn. And I like them because they always put out a lot of good information. So here, this was posted about a week ago. They kind of gave you some information about a hip fracture, like where the hip fracture is. They give you a little video. I'm not even sure what this video is. I haven't looked at it. Um, but anyhow, they post a lot of anatomy type visuals that I like to reference and look at. So sometimes I save them to my own personal file so that I can have them in here to reference. It's taking a minute to load. Let me see. They have quite a few that I have saved and that I like. I'm just trying to find one specific one that I found earlier that I really liked. It's okay. Anyhow, Metrolina Trauma Advisory Committee has a lot of good information that they post. And then for TikTok, this My Anatomy teacher, she has great videos pertaining to anatomy. So I just like to listen to her in my free time and scroll through the videos, and there's a lot of anatomy information that she posts. Okay, so now that we got the anatomy section out of the way, as far as social media and a few one-off websites, there are some websites specifically for trauma registry education, and those websites are the TCAA. If you're not a member of TCAA, you have to be a facility in order to join. But they have quite a few webinars, and they are all recorded, so you can go back and look at them. Like, I can watch something from last year, which is absolutely amazing. So if I missed it, then I can go back and watch it and get that information and that education. So TCAA is a great resource for registry education, and if you're studying for the AIS, that does have some webinars pertaining to the specific AIS. So I would say decoding the AIS language would probably be one that I would watch if I am studying for the CAISS. And then, of course, the American Trauma Society. So this you can join as an individual. I believe it's $65 a year, and they have quite a few webinars. Their webinars are archived as well, and then you can go back and watch old webinars. They have great information, great education, and I highly recommend this, joining the ATS. All right, so now that you have all that information, what do you do with it? How do you study? What are some studying tools? So for me, I used Quizlet, and I didn't really study other people's Quizlets. I mean, I kind of looked at them, but I used Quizlet in order to make my own Quizlets. And Quizlet has a great feature where you can, this is the free version, this is not a paid version. Under the free version, you can upload a document here, and it will create, let's see, I'm just going to do this real quick. It will create flashcards for you to it will create flashcards in order for you to study. So I really like this because a lot of times I'm taking my kids here and there. And so this one, it broke down my document. And then from here, I believe you can click flashcards, maybe. I know you can do it from here. Let's try it from here. Flashcard set, yep. Create them oh, you know what? No, I don't want to do that. Go back. Sorry. Exit. If you click the plus, hit flashcard set, and then create from an upload, you can upload this as well. So upload file. It's really quick, really easy. Let's see. I believe I just hit generate. Yep. See, it took like 2 seconds. And it might take a minute or so to generate the flashcards, but it will create all your flashcards. My suggestion is to make your flashcards private because AIS does have copyright infringement, like they're copyrighted, so we don't want to give all this information out to everybody to look at. And the other thing is make sure you go in and you validate your flashcards. So if you have a flashcard set that's made, go in and look at your flashcards to make sure that it's saying the right information before you start studying for it. So again, this is the free version. There is another version that you can pay for. It doesn't cost very much. I forget what benefits there are to paying for the updated version or the upgraded version. But I found this to be very useful for me. So like I said, I'd be sitting in the car. I just download this app, get on the app, and do the flashcards while I'm waiting for my kids to get done with whatever I'm picking them up from. So that was very useful. All right, and if you want a more structured anatomy class, an actual course, there are a few trauma courses out there available. The first one is from Pomfrey Consulting. This is recorded lectures Monday through Thursday, and then a live Q&A on Friday. So these do cost. I'm not sure what the cost is. I forget. And I looked it up recently, but I don't remember. But there is a cost to them. So you can go to Pomfrey Consulting's website and then, oh, look, it's $295. So that's 11 contact hours, and this is a 1-week self-directed program. So this would be a great program, say if you wanted to do this after work, but you get 11.5 contact hours and all the anatomy information pertaining to trauma. The other anatomy course that I found is through KJ Consulting, and they have a basic anatomy for trauma course. I don't know how much it cost. I did not contact anyone to schedule, but if you go to the KJ Consulting website, you'll be able to find this information and then contact them regarding the basic anatomy for trauma course. And then for just a little refresher on medical terminology, there is this AIMS website, and here it's just basic medical terminology, something if you want to brush up on medical terminology before you take the CAISS exam, this would be a good website to kind of go in and just kind of review the medical terms. There's also a million YouTube videos. I'm sure you can find a website, or you can use, ChatGPT or something like that. Speaking of ChatGPT, if you do choose to use ChatGPT, verify that the information that it's returning is correct. So I tried to put in a code yesterday. I wanted an ultrasound for like the pleural area, and it could not find the code for me. So just FYI, if you're using ChatGPT or any AI products, please be mindful of the return. Like, make sure that the return that they give you, the answer that they give you, the answer that ChatGPT or any AI gives you is correct. So just double check yourself. Okay, and that was it. That's kind of my overview of the CAISS exam. I know a lot of people are a little nervous when taking this exam. As long as you study, I think you'll be great. Just remember, you do this every day, and even studying for it, and say you don't pass the test, that just makes you stronger as a registrar, and then you know what you need to work towards and work on, and then you can take it again, and I'm sure you'll pass it. So, all right, well, I hope this video is helpful, and I hope you all have a good day.